right? So get this, everyone. We're going to deep dive into some research, and I think this could be a really big deal.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
talking about a whole new way to treat prostate cancer, and it
Yeah,
could like totally change things for men all over the world.
for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. It's really important to keep an eye on this kind of research, especially when you think about how many men are diagnosed with prostate cancer every single year.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at the numbers from the Israel Cancer Association. They're predicting almost 3,000 new cases
Wow.
just in Israel alone this year.
Just in Israel.
And they expect over 500 of those to be fatal.
Yeah, it's a sobering reminder of why we need research like this so badly.
Absolutely.
And what's so exciting about this study is they're talking about reducing the number of radiation sessions
Yeah.
needed for treatment.
Yeah.
Imagine going from 5 sessions down to just 2.
Exactly. It's a huge difference, and it's not just about convenience either. It could make a world of difference for patients when it comes to side effects,
Right.
recovery time,
Yeah.
and even their mental well-being.
Their whole outlook on the whole process. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's get down to the details.
Yeah,
This research is happening at Beilinson Hospital in Israel,
right.
and it's being led by Dr. Elisha Freedman.
Yeah.
They started with a small group of 20 patients who got this 2-session radiation treatment. What were the initial results like?
Well, they were really encouraging. The big thing is they didn't see any unusual side effects.
That's great.
And the outcomes they saw in terms of tumor control were comparable to the traditional 5-session approach.
So they're getting similar results in less than half the time.
Yeah, pretty amazing, right?
It's incredible.
And get this. After 18 months of follow-up, none of the patients in that initial study showed any signs of the cancer coming back.
Wait, so no recurrence after 18 months?
No.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
How are they doing this 2-session approach? Is it some new technology?
It's a combination of things, really. They're using really advanced technology to deliver a much higher dose of radiation per session,
Oh, I see.
almost like a laser, directly to the prostate,
Okay.
while minimizing damage to the healthy tissue around it.
So it's not just about the number of sessions. It's about making each session really count.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
How does this new approach compare to other treatment options out there?
Well, the standard 5-session approach has been the gold standard for a while now,
Right.
but it does have its downsides,
No.
More sessions mean a longer treatment period,
Yeah.
more disruption to the patient's life, and a higher risk of side effects.
Yeah, of course.
This 2-session approach, if it turns out to be successful in the larger trials,
Yeah.
could potentially solve a lot of those issues.
That would be huge. This research was published in the International Journal of Radiation Oncology, Biology, Physics, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean for its credibility, and what are the next steps for this research?
Oh, that's a really big deal. Being published in a peer-reviewed journal, that means that other experts in the field have looked at the research, really scrutinized it,
Yeah.
and decided it's good enough to share with the wider medical community.
So it's like a stamp of approval.
Exactly. It's essential for getting the research accepted and moving it forward.
And that's what's happening now, right? They're moving on to a much bigger phase of the study.
Yes. They're expanding the research to include 502 patients.
Wow.
And they're going to directly compare the outcomes of those who get the 2-session treatment with those who receive the traditional 5 sessions.
That's a huge jump from 20 patients.
It is. This head-to-head comparison is going to be key in figuring out if they can replicate that initial success on a larger scale.
This expanded study could really change things.
Yeah.
Can you walk us through what they're hoping to learn from this larger trial? What questions are they trying to answer?
Sure. Well, they'll be looking at whether those great results from that first study hold true with this much bigger group of patients.
Right, it makes sense.
They'll be analyzing things like tumor control rates, side effects,
Yeah.
quality of life measures to see how the two approaches stack up.
And I bet they're looking at long-term effects too.
Oh, absolutely.
To see if this 2-session thing is just as good at preventing the cancer from coming back years down the line.
Yeah, long-term follow-up is so important in any cancer treatment study.
Of course.
They'll need to keep tabs on these patients for years
Yeah.
to really get the full picture of the effectiveness and any side effects that might pop up later.
So let's play devil's advocate here for a second.
Sure.
Are there any potential downsides or concerns that researchers are thinking about with this 2-session approach?
Well, of course, there are always potential risks and challenges with any new treatment.
Right.
One concern is that with fewer sessions, there's less room for adjustment
I see.
if the initial targeting isn't perfect.
Okay.
So the accuracy of each radiation beam becomes even more critical.
So it really requires a high level of expertise from the medical team.
Yeah, for sure. This kind of treatment needs cutting-edge technology and really skilled clinicians
Yeah,
to make sure the radiation hits the right spot with pinpoint accuracy.
that makes sense.
Another thing to keep in mind is the potential for those long-term side effects,
Right.
the ones that might not show up in those shorter follow-up periods.
That's a good point. So let's say this two-session treatment is a success. How long would it realistically take for it to become widely available?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
There are a few things that need to happen. First, we need the results from this larger trial to back up those initial findings.
Right.
Assuming those are positive, it'll still take time to get regulatory approval.
Makes sense.
And for hospitals and clinics to get the technology and training they need.
So even with amazing results, there are still hoops to jump through.
Yep.
So what does all this mean for the future of prostate cancer treatment? Could this two-session approach become the new gold standard?
Well, it's definitely possible.
Okay.
If this bigger study shows that it's just as effective and has fewer side effects compared to the 5-session approach,
Yeah.
it'd be hard to argue against it becoming a first-line treatment for the right patients. The potential benefits for patients and healthcare systems are huge.
It would be a big shift.
Yeah.
Now, thinking beyond prostate cancer, do you think this approach could be used to treat other types of cancer?
It's an exciting thought, and the answer is maybe.
Okay.
Researchers are already looking into using this kind of highly focused radiation. It's called stereotactic body radiotherapy,
Uh-huh.
or SBRT for other cancers like lung cancer and breast cancer.
Wow.
The early results are looking good,
That's great.
but more research is needed.
Of course. So it sounds like we're maybe on the verge of something really big in cancer treatment.
Yeah, it feels that way.
But we have to remember that this research is still ongoing, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We need to wait and see what this bigger trial tells us to really know what the potential of this two-session approach is.
Right.
It's important to stay optimistic but cautious and let the research play out.
I totally agree. But even with that in mind, these initial results are pretty exciting, right? The idea of having a treatment that's shorter, less invasive, and just as effective, it could really change things for so many patients and their families.
No doubt. And don't forget about the impact this could have on healthcare systems.
That's true.
Shorter treatment times could mean lower costs,
Right?
resources freed up,
Yeah.
and more people getting the care they need.
It's pretty incredible to see how a change in the way we treat something can have such a big impact.
Yeah, it really shows you the power of scientific innovation.
For sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the human side of this research.
Okay.
For the patients who are part of these trials, what does this new approach mean for their experience?
Yeah, that's an important point to consider. The mental and emotional side of cancer treatment can be really tough.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Imagine how much of a difference it would make for a patient to know they might only need 2 radiation sessions instead of 5.
It would be like a huge weight lifted off their shoulders.
Exactly. They could focus on getting better and getting back to their lives faster.
And think about their families and friends, too.
Yeah, less time in treatment means more time with loved ones.
It's really amazing how this change in the treatment approach can affect so many different parts of a patient's life.
It really is. It's like a domino effect. It's a testament to how powerful scientific innovation can be and how important it is to keep looking for new possibilities in medicine.
So let's bring this back to our listener.
Okay.
Why should they care about this research?
Yeah.
What's the takeaway message?
Well, the takeaway here is that medical science is always moving forward, and it has the potential to really improve people's lives.
Yeah.
This research on prostate cancer treatment is a perfect example of that. It shows how important it is to stay informed about new developments.
And to advocate for your own health.
Exactly.
I think it also shows that even small changes, like cutting down the number of treatment sessions,
Right.
can make a huge difference in a patient's experience.
Absolutely. It's a reminder that progress in medicine isn't always about these big, flashy discoveries. Sometimes it's about taking what we already have and making it better for patients.
Now, we've been talking a lot about the potential benefits of this two-session approach, but we need to remember that it's still a study in progress.
Right?
We need to see the results of this bigger trial before we can make any definite conclusions.
Yeah, we can't get ahead of ourselves. It's important to let the research run its course.
I hear you. But even so, I think it's safe to say that this research is creating a lot of excitement and hope
Oh, for sure.
for people with prostate cancer. The possibility of a treatment that's shorter, less invasive, and just as effective.
Yeah,
It's something that could really help a lot of people.
absolutely. At the end of the day, it's all about finding ways to improve people's lives and give them hope.
So what's next for this research? What should our listener be keeping an eye out for?
Well, the next big thing is going to be when they publish the results from that big study with the 502 patients.
Right?
That's when we'll really get a good understanding of how well this 2-session approach works compared to the traditional 5 sessions.
Yeah, and everyone's going to be watching those results. Researchers, clinicians all over the world.
Yeah.
I mean, if the results are as good as we hope,
Yeah,
this could totally change how we think about treating prostate cancer.
absolutely. Positive findings from a study that big could really speed things up,
Yeah.
get this new approach adopted faster, make it the standard of care in more places.
It's kind of amazing to think we could be seeing the start of a whole new era in cancer treatment,
It is.
where treatments are not only more effective, but easier on patients.
I think that's a great way to put it. This research is like a window into the future,
Yeah.
where cancer treatment might not be so scary, so disruptive, and maybe even more successful.
Well, we've covered a lot today.
Yeah,
From the details of this prostate cancer research to what it could mean for cancer treatment in general.
it's been a great discussion.
But before we go, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay.
So let's say this 2-session treatment is as successful as those early results suggest.
Yeah.
What other doors could that open? Could this be the spark that leads to a whole bunch of new cancer therapies?
It's a really interesting question. And while we can't predict the future,
Sure.
this research definitely gets you thinking. If we can get such incredible results with fewer treatments for prostate cancer,
Right.
it makes you wonder, could we adapt this approach for other types of cancer too?
Exactly.
Could it lead to breakthroughs in cancers that are tougher to treat with radiation right now?
It's pretty exciting to think about.
It is. It reminds us that we're living in a time of amazing progress in science, and the future of medicine is full of possibilities.
It's a future I'm definitely looking forward to.
Me too. And for our listeners, I hope this deep dive has given you a lot to think about. Knowledge is power.
It really is.
And staying up to date on the latest in medicine can help you advocate for your own health and make the best choices for yourself.
Well said. I want to thank our expert for joining us today and taking us on this incredible journey of discovery.
It was my pleasure.
Until next time, everyone keep those minds curious and keep exploring the world with us right here on the Deep Dive.